Hi everybody. If you're watching this on Stuff with Dono, I know what you're thinking. No, Dono did not just get more handsome. I'm Steve from Stuff with Steve, a friend of Dono. Uh, I offered to do this teching video for him because I have my own BT Combat and my girlfriend's BT Slice that I have access to. As well, I have a number of years experience using these markers, so I thought I would just lend my expertise uh, to his channel, as well as post to my own channel a video explaining how to maintain, repair, and troubleshoot common problems that occur with these markers. So I'm going to bring the camera in closer, try and get a better shot of these markers. I'm going to try and segment this video to maintenance that you're going to do every day after you play, maintenance that you're going to want to do on a semi-regular basis, your 1 month or every couple of weeks maintenance, depending how often you play. Repair, things to look for when you do experience leaks or your marker's not functioning properly, etc., etc. So I'm gonna bring the camera in and we'll get down to it. All right, so we're gonna start off with what should you do after each day that you play. This is gonna be your basic maintenance. You come home after a day of paintballing. You drop your stuff in the wash or wherever you drop it. You have just your marker, or you pull your marker out of your bag. You put it down on a towel. This is what I'm going to suggest to protect your surfaces and your marker if you don't have a tack mat. You put it down on the towel. This is what you're going to want to do to just keep your marker healthy on the day of or on a regular basis. A little bit more regularly than you're going to do the rest of the stuff I'm going to tell you about. So first off, you're going to want to remove your barrel. You're going to want to check down the bore of your barrel, look for paint, pieces of shell, anything like that. If you had any barrel breaks, you're going to want to take the squeegee, just run it down and through, clean any paint out. If you have paint in these ports or in any sort of porting, warm water. These barrels are made of aircraft grade anodized aluminum. You're not going to hurt them. So warm water, you run the squeegee through again to dry them. Paper towel is also good idea just to get the outside. And then that's your barrel done. It's clean. To clean the rest of your marker, you're going to want to take a rag. I have my microfiber for my mask, but this is just demonstrate. You're going to want to wet it and wipe down the sides, getting it all in, like the gap between the body and the grip. You're going to want to get the spaces in that Picatinny rail. You're going to want to wipe down the entire outside of the marker, get it nice and clean. If you notice that there's some stuff in there, like I have right now, there's a little bit of paint in there, dried paint. You can just twist this, slide it off, clean that. If you don't have this, you're just gonna wipe that little plug that comes on the back. This came with my marker, so that's why I'm showing it. You're also going to want to remove your feed neck, clean down inside of it in there. You're gonna want to wipe that out. As well, check your breech. This right here where the ball goes in. You can cock the marker, check down inside of there, make sure there's no debris, dirt, paint. You can wipe that out and clean that out, and then put this back on. And for cleaning it after a day of play, that's really if you've lubed it recently, that's really all you got to do. And just get all the paint off the outside so that it doesn't hurt the anodizing. I kind of slacked with that. learn from my mistake. I got the anodizing's coming off in spots. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, all those white spots where the anodizing's coming off. So it will, that and dirt, sand, stuff like that. Somebody poured sand in my friggin' hopper one day when I was playing. I have no idea why. So that scratched the crap out of the anodizing there. And yeah, so just wipe it down, keep it clean on the outside. That's for the most part. You come home, take it out, clean it. You're gonna want to do that because you're gonna upgrade from this marker eventually, and you want to get into the habit of pulling out your marker after you play and cleaning it and taking care of it. Because if you don't do that with some of the high-end markers, they're not going to work after a while. You're going to break something. So it's a good idea to get into the habit of just at least cleaning the outside of your marker after every day of play. All right, so I have my girlfriend Suzanne's BT slice here. I just wanted to bring this into frame to show you some of the differences. In order to take this feed neck off, you push that button, same as the original, but you're going to slide it back to about there, and then that's where there's no more side pieces on the railing. You just lift it right off. That makes it easier to check the breech. You can caulk it with the handle, look down in there, make sure there's nothing in there. You can clean your feed neck. If you just want to make life easier, you can pull this pin out, open it up, check your front bolt, your barrel nut, all the rest of it, and then you're done. If you don't have to clean out an excessive amount of broken paint from the front bolt, you're not going to need to lubricate it. But if you do, if you had a bad day, bad paint, something like that, and you do need to clean out the paint from your breech, then you're going to want to continue on to the next part of this video, and then I'll just show you, in that part I'll show you how to lubricate this marker and the original style markers. Alright, so to lubricate this marker, you're going to want to use a paintball grade oil. Do not use grease. These markers do not like grease. They want to be oiled. I made the mistake. This is another case of learn from my example, my mistakes. I used grease in mine, and it gummed up the internals, and it just would not cycle properly at all. These markers, when you get them, will be lubed with an oil. That's what you're going to want to do. So again, you pull this pin out the back, you swing this forward, and you can remove this connecting rod, this barrel nut, and the front bolt. Then you move to the back of the marker, and you pull on the spring, you pull it forward, and then this whole thing just lifts out all at once. Now I'm just going to move this out of the way. For the internals, what you're going to want to do is, I have a piece of paper towel. I'm using chainsaw chain oil, just because that's what I have and I like it. But what I'm going to recommend to you is what I'm pretty sure the manufacturer recommends, and that's to use paintball oil. Gold Cup lubricant is not a great one, but it will work. Stuff like that, something you get from the paintball store. This is just what I use because it stays where I put it, and I can store my marker. I don't have to worry about relubing it again. So you're going to take this. This is just the impact O-ring. Be honest with you, I've never really worried about it, paid attention to it, anything like that. You just put it on, make sure you always put it on your spring, and you make sure that it's always in your marker, because this buffers the bolt from when it comes back. Make sure it doesn't smack really hard into the back of the marker. But you don't really have to worry about lubricating it, cleaning it, whatever. If there's sand on it, obviously clean it off, but really for the most part, it's just there to be a cushion. You're going to want to take this guide pin, and this is just to do like a really thorough back to front cleaning. You're going to want to take this and wipe it off. You'll notice that even though this marker hasn't been used much, there's still some dirt there. So you're just going to wipe it off. And then you're going to take this. In the BT slice style markers, this pin right here that connects to the charging handle on the exterior or on the top of the marker, that holds this inner part in. If you have something similar to mine, if you have a BT4, you'll notice that this middle part comes out and it's only held in by the charging handle. Not a big deal. I have a feeling this is more a case of recycling parts. They had a bunch of BT4 style bolts, and instead of making brand new bolts that were solid right there and drilling them out, they just took a bunch of BT4 style bolts, drilled a hole, put in the pin, and then sold them. So it's not a big deal. You're going to want to wipe this down. All right, you make sure you get the strike face, get that O-ring. Just make sure you get all the surfaces. And this one's pretty clean again because it's only been used once. Doing the same for all the internal parts. Wipe it down completely. Make sure you get any sand or grit or grime off. You're going to want to check your O-ring right there. That if there is any debris that's going to be worn, you're going to want to replace that. You're also going to want to check this O-ring. Make sure it's not torn or hasn't started to unroll. Kind of, it'll start to, if some O-rings will start to like unroll and you'll see a little lip. And you just want to check and make sure it's in good condition. It looks the same as it did when you got it. And again, just wipe everything down. Once you have that done, my thing to do, what I prefer to do is I'll put some lubrication on a piece of paper towel, and then I'll just go like that, and I'll wipe it through the lubrication, or through the oil, sorry, right? And that usually for me gets a nice thin layer of oil that will do what you need it to do. See the shine on that in there now, right? Nice and shiny. So just a nice glob of oil on a rag, and you wipe down all your internal parts. And once you have that done, you can move on to the rest of the marker. So bring this over again, and I'll show you where you want to lubricate in here. Oh, forgot to mention this right there. That's your ball detent. You're not going to have to worry about lubricating that. You can just set that aside, out of your way. In here, you're going to want to put some lubrication down everywhere something slides against something else. So right in here, or actually here, I'll wipe it down first. So you're going to want to wipe that down. Right? Make sure it's nice and clean. You get all the dirt, gunk, grime, whatever off. Again, it's still coming off dirty. It's a brand new marker. You're going to want to wipe the top of the power tube. And then what I like to do is I'll go like that, and I'll slide the paper towel underneath the power tube. Give it a quick wipe like that, and then I'll try and get underneath it real easy, or real good. Wipe off. You're basically wiping off all the old oil that might have trapped dust or sand or anodizing wear or whatever inside the marker. You want to make sure you have a virgin surface to work with. Again, you want to wipe there. This is where your power tube sits. You're going to see right here, there's a bit of a lip. You can hear that? You're going to want to wipe behind that, because that forward of that lip is where the power tube sits. It's not really that big of a deal. Right? Make sure you don't leave more debris behind than you cleaned out. And then you just take your rag again and wipe down the inside. Right, so you're gonna wipe down the back right there. You're gonna wipe down the power tube, the front. You're gonna wipe down where the front bolt slides, and then you're gonna wipe down where the rear bolt slides. And you just want to make it shiny. You've already lubricated the outer surfaces of all the internal parts. This is just adding that second bit of lubrication so that it doesn't wipe off. You have a good layer of oil there now. So then you just reassemble it. Take this, put that there. This guide rod into the spring. Now, I don't know. Yeah, I know if it's the same way both ends. Yeah, so it's similar to mine. And then that just slides down in there, like that. And then you take, oh wait, not that, this. You slide that in there. Try and, right? And then you just slide it down until it sits in the center of this right here. This back plate, just while I have this open in front of me, this back plate is, if you want to put a buttstock on this marker, like I have on mine, this back plate, because of the nature of the marker, is pinned in. So you can see right there, there's a little semicircle. That's a pin, or not a semicircle, there's a little circle. That is a pin, and that's going through the marker and through this back cap. And that just keeps it in place so that this all doesn't come flying out as soon as you disassemble the marker. You're going to need to push that out, and then this marker will accept any 98 style buttstocks. You're just going to have to keep in mind from that point on, if you don't work out some way to pin it back in, pin the buttstock in, that you're going to have to be very careful when you open it up. Maybe hold on to the buttstock and then open it up, because that's not going to be secure inside the marker anymore. So just something to keep in mind. I want to point it out before I forgot. Okay, so you put the front bolt on. There's a small hole there, and then obviously you can see there's a hole in this square part. Connect the guide rod, and then you put the barrel nut on, swing everything down and closed, and you're done. And that'll be, you're going to want to do that regularly, but that's not going to be after every game. If you want to do it every game, all means go for it. That's a really good practice. Again, it'll be good practice for when you upgrade and you get a more expensive marker. Because, you know, like I said, those markers will require more maintenance. Or I didn't, like I said. I didn't say it already. That was the other take. Anyways, so you're going to want to get into the practice of cleaning these markers regularly anyways, because when you do get a new higher end marker, they're going to require it regularly. But that's the BT Combat cleaning finished, and that's really the only thing different between this marker and this marker, aside from the visible upgrades that I have on here. Everything internally and operationally is the same. So for this point on, I'm going to be moving through the BT Combat for the repair and trouble shooting sections. All right, to disassemble the BT4 style markers, it's going to be a bit more of an involved process. This might deter you a little bit from doing this daily. I understand. I do it every 3 to 4 days of play. You're going to need a 1/8 Allen key. and that's about it. So if you're going to start off, you're going to have it decocked. You're going to turn this way, and that'll just slide off. You need to remove that. This feed neck, as opposed to the slice where it slides back, this slides forward, comes off. This isn't necessary, but I do it anyways just to make my life easier. If you have a buttstock, you can pull this down and turn it, and that part will come right off. And then you just do that to relax the spring again. And you can set that aside as well. You're going to take your Allen key, remove the rear sight, set that aside, and then you're ready to start. You're ready to remove your handle to start opening up your marker. These ones have a nut which goes through and acts kind of like a pin, and then the bolt on the other side screws into that. Whereas with the slice, it's a nut that's that's molded into the plastic. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. It's a nut that's molded into the plastic, and then the entire bolt is threaded all the way through and screws into that nut. But it's going to come apart pretty much the same way. You're going to want to put your finger on the back and unscrew this. And then reach in there and push it through. That's what they're saying. It's a long, odd-shaped nut. Set those aside somewhere they're not going to get lost. Do the same over here. Push that through. And then you can just rotate this down. Now, this I haven't really done all that often at all, but I have done it, and it's something that I think you should do. So I'm going to show you is lubricating the trigger mechanism in the non-electronic version of these markers. You're going to just pull this safety all the way through, and then the entire trigger group will come out, and it's held together by these two plates and the pins. Just move this over here for a second. Like I said, you're not going to need to do this too often, and it is a bit trickier. I wouldn't recommend doing it every day. Like I said, I do this maintenance 3 to 4 days of play. This I do half as often. So you just pull this plate off, and you're going to notice that there's springs that come flying. And you just put a little bit of lubrication on either side of the sear, the trigger, and just put it back together again. A little trick, if you have nails, you grab the spring with your nail and the holder, and you just put it in like that. Again with this, grab the spring with your fingernail and put it on there. There's a little nub on the front part of the trigger. You're going to want to get that spring on, and then you can just snap that side plate back into place. And then it just goes right back in your marker the same way you took it out. It sits in there. There's a little indent part where it sits. Take your safety, and then there you go. You're done. So that's how you can do that. You can check for if there's something weird or funky going on with your trigger. I haven't had that yet, but if there's something funky going on with your trigger, you can check those two springs. You can check for debris or dirt in the here, I'll just take it out so I can show you. You can check for dirt or debris in the sear, because the way it works, you'll notice that the the hole that the pin goes through, the sear through, is twice as wide as the diameter of that pin. And that's because when the bolt comes forward, it pushes this like that, and then when you press the trigger, right, it pushes that down, right? And then when the bolt goes back, that spring pushes it back and it resets it. So if you have anything in there, dirt, anything like that, I don't see anything getting in there, but if you do have something in there and your gun's not firing properly, or your trigger feels funny, or you're not engaging your trigger, that's a good spot to check. So you are going to notice one spring is longer than the other, but only slightly, by like a turn. To be honest with you, I swapped these out, and I couldn't remember which way they went in. I tried it both ways. It fired fine with the long one in the front and with the long one in the back. So I put the long one in the back because the space in the back between the sear and this holder is longer in the back than it is in the front. So it seemed to make sense to me. It didn't really affect the operation of the marker any. Once you have that rotated down and you've checked out your trigger, if you want to do so, you're just going to unscrew these all the way. All 4 of these bolts. And in my opinion, I think this is where BT got a little bit better, or got a little bit more right than the 98. The 98 has all these panels, and this is just one streamlined clamshell, 4 bolts, 2 bolts to hold on the grip, and you can take it all apart. It seems pretty. It seems a lot simpler than the 98 was. I personally leave those bolts in there, and just do that. And flip them over, and flip that clamshell over, and then from here you can see it's pretty much it is the same thing as the slice. You have the same detent, same bolt, same connecting rod, same front bolt. This right here, this is what I was talking about. That's the rear cap. The only difference is going to be where you wipe down and lubricate. So on this, you're going to lubricate from here back to about there. On this clamshell, you're going to lubricate this right here. And then you're going to try and get some in there. You're going to do the interior surfaces. You're going to do the bolt, the rear bolt, the front bolt. You're going to wipe down and lube the connecting rod. You're going to want to check the ball detent and maybe flip that to the better side. And that's... and from there, it's pretty much the same as the BT slice for lubrication and regular for lubrication. This right here, this was for this is for an expansion chamber. This piece, I guess at one point BT offered an expansion chamber. It's just a good idea to leave that plug in there. It keeps crap out of your marker because there's this milled tube here. All right, so and then that's it for lubrication for this marker. Put it together. You put that on there. Screw those together. Actually, before you do that, you might want to put the back on. You're gonna want to be careful when you do this too. You notice that you just saw that came up. Right, this is a little bit trickier. What I should show you is what I mentioned earlier about the bolt. See, this is your charging handle, and this is the bolt. It's the same as the slice bolt, but the silver part comes out, and what holds it in there is this charging handle. right? And then what holds the charging handle in there is this spring, and it kind of all the pieces in the back kind of hold each other together. So it doesn't make a difference operationally or anything like that. It's just, I guess, Empire saving money by using the same bolt, just in different, just one different hole. So you put that in like that. Again, there's your buffer O-ring, or your bumper O-ring. Take this. Make sure all your parts are sitting there flat. Put that on there. And screw everything back together. Now, what I find, because I have big hands, what I find easiest to do is I'll take my pinky, I'll put it there, and I'll take my forefinger and I'll put it there. Right? So I take my nut, put it in, like that, put my pinky on it, flip it over, put the bolt in, and screw in. It doesn't need to be crazy tight, just on there firm enough that your grip's not moving around. Again, do the same thing with the front one. I don't know if it was a defect in manufacturing or what it was, but one bolt doesn't seem to want to thread properly. You have to kind of guide it in. But yeah, and then that's together, and then you just add the grip, the feed neck, the rear sight. You put the if you have the buttstock, you put the buttstock back on, all the rest of it. I'm going to assume you're not dumb, and I'm not going to show all that because I have to take this back apart to go over common issues and repair and so forth. And that'll be the next section. Okay, so this part of the video is going to be the troubleshooting section of the video. I've already mentioned not to use grease in these markers. That could cause issues with cycling because the grease slows the rear bolt down as it comes back, and it could not meet up with the sear and will just bounce like it's out of air constantly. So that's problem number one. It's not cycling. Usually it's you've used grease, or you've used too heavy of a lubricant, or you've used too much of it, at which point I would suggest wiping it down and redoing your lubrication, being a little bit more conservative. You can also check your trigger, which I showed you earlier. And beyond that, and I don't think, and that's pretty much, that's everything I can think of that would cause not cycling properly, aside from low air. If you don't have any air, you're low on CO2, which these markers do take, it won't cycle properly. It'll just, right? So that's not cycling. Another thing is air leaks. Every marker that you're ever going to use, you're ever going to see, at some point it will leak air. With these markers, I've leaked air once. That's it. So I'll show you what I did in my case. Another possibility is, well, in my case, there's an O-ring inside here that was blown. I had to take this entire power tube internally apart. Another likely cause is that the wrap, this right here, this white bit, is is worn out or has been blown out, the Teflon tape, you can see some of the. I'm gonna try and get that real close. You can see how this is an older joint. I've never taken this apart. This is actually the original Teflon tape, came with the marker. It will over time wear down, break down, and allow air to come through. So you're going to want to replace that. I have some Teflon tape here because I'm going to take the air system apart and show you all the parts and how they fit together, and maybe if you have the right tools, help you to repair it yourself. Yeah, so in order to start taking this air system apart, we need to take this. These do need to be very snug, by the way. You are going to want to snug these up because they are the only thing holding your tank on when you're using a tank. I'm using a remote line, so I don't have the same stresses, but I still do crank these down when I do take them off, which is not on any sort of regular basis at all. So you want to back these all the way out and pull that off. Now I want something I should point out. When you pull these out, the rear one, the rear bolt that comes out, or the bolt, or the screw that comes out of the back of the ASA, or that connection, is going to be longer than the front one. So when you put it together, make sure you don't get those mixed up. So you set those aside. Take your grip, you can set that aside. Flip this over. And these two screws here, again, these are ones that you're going to want to make sure are nice and tight. Take that out. And you take this out. You are going to notice that there's some blue Loctite tape on them. You're going to take these apart so rarely that that's not going to be an issue, having to replace that. And then this should just come right out, and you have your power tube free. And then this is the entirety of the marker's air system, from tank out to barrel. This is it. This is all the pneumatics for the BT style marker. That's why they call them mech guns, or mechanical markers, or mech markers, is because everything other than this is mechanical. So I'm just going to take this off just because I don't want that on there. Alright, so to remove, first we're going to start at the back and move forward. If you have a leak coming from here, I'm just going to show you how to do Teflon tape, because there's no O-rings in there. This is just a solid billet of aluminum. So in order to remove this, you're going to need a pair of, I have channel locks, but a box end wrench that fits on there would work just as well. And a vise, apparently. Alright, starting from the back, I have a small vise here. This is one my father made during his apprenticeship. You're going to want to take I have a rag here. You're going to want to use something as a form of what's called soft jaws. I'll just put that in there. And putting the flat side in there just so you get your leverage. And just snug that in there. Don't crank down, you don't need to. You just need something to grip the tank adapter so you can spin it off. that will just spin. Right out of there, and it's going to be very snug, obviously you can tell. And then you just unscrew that. Okay, you're gonna clean out all the old, move this to the side. You're going to remove all the old Teflon tape. Just like that's good enough. Make sure you get all of it out of the threads. Small brush can help. I have a plastic bristled brush from the dollar store. I'm just gonna use a brass bristled brush. This is a stainless steel line. This is what I have that's soft. Alright, you're just gonna try and clean all that loose Teflon tape out of there. You don't have to get it all, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just enough that it's not going to create a pathway that's going to allow air to escape underneath the Teflon tape. Now this screws in this direction. It's a righty-tighty, lefty-loosey sort of deal. So I'm going to take the Teflon tape, right? This is a clockwise thread. It's a right-hand thread. So I'm going to take this Teflon tape and I'm going to screw it, or I'm going to thread it on in the direction that I would screw it into the ASA. And I'm going to do about 1, 2, 3 wraps is usually good. And you don't want that, what just happened there. You do not want the Teflon tape to go over the mouth of the line. If that does happen, you can just use your nail, pull it back, and make sure that that is clear. All right. Once you have that on, you can then take your ASA and thread this back in. Again, bringing the vise around. Tuck that in there. And making sure it lines up, which it does. Okay. At this point, you can take an air tank, screw it into the back of here, and very carefully, threading it in very slowly, you can thread it in and make sure that you've got that on there as good as it's going to get. Okay. You can even you want to make sure that when it goes back on the marker, it's going to be possible to line that back up without putting too much stress on the line. Alright, so that's that. Move that off to the side. If that doesn't fix your issue, or if you're leaking from here, you can do the same thing. You just unthread this from the power tube. I'll show you how to, and re-Teflon tape it and that should fix your issue. What I'm going to show you next is if you have a leak from the barrel, if it's leaking out the front out of this part, the front of your power tube, it's going to be a little bit more involved in order to maintain it. You might, if you're not very mechanically inclined, you might want to take it into a shop. But you're going to need what's called snap ring pliers. You can get them. I got these $20, not even, from Canadian Tire. They're internal and external snap ring pliers. Because there is a snap ring inside the valve assembly. I'll show you as I get this apart. But if you feel confident that you can do it, I'm not taking responsibility for you doing it. You can go ahead and follow this video. So as you take it apart, you're going to want to count the number of turns, because this doesn't, there's no shoulder. This doesn't have a positive stop in there. What I mean is some holes will have a shoulder in them, and when you thread the bolt or whatever in, it'll hit that shoulder and it'll stop. This is just a blind hole, so it'll keep going all the way through to you until it hits your internals, and then your marker's just not going to work. Your valve isn't going to work, and you're going to potentially damage your marker. So what you want to do is, as you remove this, you want to count the number of turns it takes to remove this power tube from the line. So 1, 2, so 2.5. And then remember that number. And again, cleaning all this. You're going to want to do this anytime you disconnect, you unthread one of these lines anyways, because this Teflon tape is one use only. Once you unscrew it, you've torn it and you've deteriorated it. It's a one-use seal kind of deal. So yeah, I'll do the rest of that off video. So you're going to want to remove that, and it'll go together the same way this did. To remove this, you're just going to, the silver bit, you're going to want to push back on that. You can use your Allen wrench very gently. You don't want to damage those threads. You can push back, and it should just pop out. If you find you're leaking out the back, actually, if you find you've got some, actually no, I guess it wouldn't affect. You're going to want to check this O-ring right here. You're not so much, it's not so much that you're going to need to lubricate it. You just want to make sure it's solid, that it's not, doesn't have any tears, anything like that. In order to remove or to check inside where the leak down the barrel might be caused, you're going to have to push this plunger back. And for that, I'm going to need something soft to push this back, and then something to hold that. Alright, so in order to take this apart, this is your valve. This is basically the engine of your marker. You're going to need to push this. You see that brass surface in there. You're going to need to push that in and then have something to hold it in place. I'm using 2 halves of a wooden skewer. Do not use your Allen key. Do not use a screwdriver. Do not use anything steel. That is brass. You will scratch it. You will damage it. Especially if you use your Allen key to hold it down, you're gonna nick it, and it's gonna hurt and hurt the performance of your marker, and it might even cause the problem to be worse. So wood, plastic is a good idea. Pencil, if you use the eraser side to push it in, that also works. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to push like that, and you can see that valve in there moving. So you're going to want to push that in. And then you want to put a wooden dowel or something in the side there, right? Just to hold that valve back and take the pressure off of that snap ring on the back. So once you've done that, ow, jabbed myself with the friggin' pin. You're gonna want to grab your snap ring pliers, and these are calibrated. These are set for inside snap rings, or internal snap rings. And you want to put it in there, and you want to pull the. All right. So you're gonna see that snap ring. Now all the pressure is off of that. Now you're gonna take your snap ring pliers, you're gonna stick them in, and you're gonna very carefully remove that snap ring. So you now have it free. And then you're going to take your pusher. You're going to push that valve back in, take that retainer out, and then you can pull the internals of this valve out. And that's pretty much it. You're going to have a spring, the back half of your valve, your spring, and the front half of your valve. Leaks down the barrel, more than likely caused by this O-ring rupturing. So you're not going to have to take this apart ever, if at all. But if you do have a leak down your barrel, this O-ring could be the cause. And it's pretty simple once you have this apart to replace that O-ring, and that should fix your issue. So to put it back together, you just do the reverse of what we just did. You put that in there, making sure the pin comes through. Put this in here like this, pushing it past that little lip that the snap ring sat in, and push this into the valve body, if it'll go. Oh, crap. How did I know that was going to happen? All right. So you want to grab something a little sturdier than a skewer. So you push that in, you trap it, and then this is the tricky bit. You want to take this snap ring that you removed, and you want to get it right back in that. I don't know if you can see it. See that track right in there, that little slot that's milled into the side around the circumference of the opening. That's where this snap ring sits in. So you're gonna very carefully, you're gonna squeeze it. And you're gonna put it back in. These snap ring pliers freaking suck. Yeah, there you go. Make sure it gets in that track and it sits there. You should be able to, right? Like right now, I can even move it with my finger. It's gonna stay in. It's just a piece of metal to stop that valve from coming out. Once you have that in there, sitting in there, it's not gonna move. It's not gonna come out. Again, you just push up on the valve, pull your piece of wood out, and you're good to go. So that's how you just disassemble and reassemble that. Like I said, it's up to you. Know your own skill level, whether you can or cannot do that, and it's in your hands. This is a little bit more advanced, but I haven't seen a video yet on YouTube how to do that, so I thought that it should be out there. I had to figure this out on my own. And then you just reassemble it. Remembering that there was 2.5 turns to unthread this from the power tube when it was disassembled. So when I put this back together, I'm going to count. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to go 1, 2.5, and stop. I'm not going to thread in anymore because this, like as you can see, right, this is the blind hole, right? So the only thing that would stop this line from going further than it should down that hole is that spring that you can see in there. So I'm going to remember 2.5 turns, and I'm going to stop at 2.5 turns. Okay, so I wrapped the Teflon tape and screwed this on off camera because I wanted to make sure I got it right. I figured it would be better to do that and then explain to you how I did it. So you're going to want to put on 4 or 5 wraps of the Teflon tape. Don't be stingy. You put it on and you orientate it the way you want it to end up. So in this case, away from this, and then you get it on until it engages. That I counted on. I counted as the half turn, and then I go 1, 2, and I made sure that it lines up with this ASA and the internals function like they should. Now, at this point, I've more than likely repaired any leaks that I would have had. I'm going to grab an air tank and I'm going to pressurize this and check for any leaks. Alright, so I have my air tank here, and I'm going to do the final check for my air system and my marker. I'm at about 2000 psi, and I'm going to very slowly and very carefully thread this into the ASA. I've already checked. This is snug. I can't remove it by hand, so it's not going to go flying. If anything, it'll just start hissing. I've also checked the power tube is also snug. You're going to want to make sure you do that before you do this part. And it's pressurized. No leaks. No hissing. We're good to go. There. That hiss, that loud hiss, that tells you that the system was pressurized. So this is good to go now. If I had any leaks in the power tube, they've all been eliminated. If I had any leaks in the ASA, they've all been eliminated. Now you can reassemble your marker and run around and play. You see there's a little bit of white there, a little bit of Teflon tape sticking out. That's just because my Teflon tape's a little bit wider than the thread. It's not going to hurt your marker any to have that excess Teflon tape sticking out. If you want to, roll it up or you want to try cleaning it off, you can. Just I would caution against that because you could end up pulling it out of the threads, or you could do something to damage those threads and completely undo all the repair work you've just done to your marker. So, like I said, it's not going to hurt anything. It's just new Teflon tape. It will wear off over time naturally. You get little threads, you can pick those off, but just leave it there. It's not hurting anything. I think, I'm not sure. I've seen black Teflon tape if you're really that picky. But really, that's inside the marker. So it shouldn't really be a big deal. And then you just screw it back on. Again with your 1/8 Allen key. And you reassemble your marker. Reassembly is just the opposite of disassembly, obviously. And you're good to play again. And that's how you repair any leaks or air system issues in a BT series marker. One thing I should mention with the BT slice, move this over here. With the BT slice, the Airline goes through the bottom of the marker. There's these two screws here holding it in, but you can't access it from just opening it up. It goes through the bottom of the marker. So in order to get that power tube out, I'm suspecting you're going to have to unscrew this, slide and unscrew that and here, slide this up into through the bottom half of the marker, and then disconnect the power tube and do whatever you need to do, and then make sure you thread this back through the bottom of the marker and then reassemble the power tube before you do your test. I guess it's just a fluke of the design. The top splitting, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do the airline or the air system repairs. Just one thing I wanted to mention before I reassembled this, or as I reassembled this, I noticed these two screws. These are the two clamshell screws from the rear of the marker. You'll notice one of them is slightly longer than the other. This longer one goes in there, and the shorter one goes in there. All right, so now that you have your marker completely reassembled again, you've cleaned it, you've lubricated it, you've checked all your O-rings, you've repaired the air system, you've reapplied the Teflon tape, etc., etc. You have it fully reassembled. Your marker should be 100% again. I'm going to take this outside. I'm going to fire off a couple shots, show you that it works, and actually, you know what? Let's do it right now. I'm a rebel. There we go. Gassed up. Those of you listening with earplugs or earphones in, you might want to turn the volume down. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that now. Ah, that's loud. All right, so it works. Yay, we've successfully repaired a marker. Couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, I'm stuffwithsteve. Well, I'm Steve from stuffwithsteve. Give me if you like the video. If you want to see more of me, if you want to see more of my videos, head on over to my channel. If you're watching this on Stuff with Dono, head on over to my channel. Subscribe, watch my videos, give my videos some likes if you feel so inclined. And hopefully I'll see you there, and I'll see you again in the future. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you found this really informative.